All right, so get this. We're going deep, deep, deep into the story of Edian independence.
Yeah.
And you know what's really cool about this one? It's all based on your sources.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're talking maps, secret letters, a terrified reverend's diary.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you ready to unpack this?
Yeah.
You ready to uncover how this network of empires and kingdoms, all right, became the nation of Edea that we know today?
I am so ready.
All right, I'm excited.
Let's do it.
I am too.
I think what's fascinating is that we have to remember that Edea wasn't some blank slate just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
It was this complex tapestry of diverse empires and kingdoms, all with their own rich histories.
Yeah.
And these maps that you provided,
Yeah.
they really paint that picture vividly.
I was so struck by the sheer variety of flags.
Yes.
And each one, I mean, you think about it, it's a work of art, really.
Absolutely.
But they represent something much, much deeper, right?
For sure.
It wasn't just about pretty colors.
No, absolutely.
So tell me about that.
These flags, they symbolize the cultural and political landscape of pre-colonial Edea.
Okay.
And you can almost trace the fault lines
Wow.
of future conflicts just by looking at how these empires and kingdoms were clustered.
Really?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. What if things had gone differently?
Yeah.
What if colonization had never happened?
Oh, that's a mind-blowing thought.
Yeah.
But sadly, history took a different turn, right?
It did.
And those pre-colonial maps, they transformed so dramatically
Yeah.
when European powers entered the scene.
Right.
Suddenly, it's all these different flags.
Yeah.
British, French, Dutch, Prussian.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like they were carving up Edea like a Thanksgiving turkey.
You know, that's a powerful image.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder, I think, of the era's global power dynamics, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Right.
These European nations were hungry for resources, hungry for prestige.
Yeah.
And Edea, strategically located, brimming with all this potential, it became a prime target.
Oh.
And it's no surprise that that led to tensions.
To put it mildly.
To put it mildly, right.
Yeah, and those tensions simmer for years.
Years.
Right, until they finally boil over in the early 18th century.
Right, right.
Which leads us to this absolutely incredible document.
Okay.
Queen Edia's letter
Oh, wow.
from 1718.
Okay.
She's facing the full force of British rule, forced into hiding,
Yeah.
and yet her words, they're defiant, almost hopeful.
Oh, wow.
It's not just a letter, it's a rallying cry.
That's so powerful.
It is, right?
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
You know, this letter is more than just a historical artifact to me. It's a lesson in leadership.
I love that.
Think about it. Queen Hedi, she could have easily given in to despair.
Right.
Yeah, but instead she turns her vulnerability into strength,
Wow.
using this letter to galvanize her people, to plant the seeds of resistance.
Right.
It reminds me, you know, of Nelson Mandela's letters from prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, these messages of hope that kept a movement alive.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, I think so.
There's that same spirit of resilience.
Yes.
And it's so personal, too. I mean, listen to this, she writes. My heart aches for our land, but my spirit remains unbroken.
Wow.
You can almost hear her voice,
I know.
feel her determination.
Yeah.
What do you think? Did she have any idea how impactful her words would become?
You know, it's impossible to know for sure.
Right.
But I think she understood the power of words to inspire action.
Yeah.
She wasn't just expressing her personal anguish, she was shaping a narrative.
Oh, interesting.
Framing this struggle for independence as a fight for justice, for dignity, for the very soul of Edea.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
But not everyone shared that optimism.
Right.
We get a very different perspective
Okay.
from Reverend John Smith's diary entry.
Okay.
In 1728,
Right.
he's living under British rule in Fort Delta.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, he sounds absolutely terrified.
Oh, no.
Yeah, his diary offers this chilling glimpse into the escalating tensions on the ground. You know, it's one thing to read about rebellion in a history book,
Right.
but to hear it described firsthand, to feel Smith's palpable fear,
Wow.
it really brings the human cost of this conflict into sharp focus.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he talks about whispers of violence, growing hostility towards the British, even rumors of priests being targeted.
Oh.
I mean, this guy was clearly living in fear.
Yeah.
Was he overreacting, or were his concerns justified?
It's important to remember the role religion played in all of this, these colonial dynamics.
Uh-huh.
Missionaries often served as agents of cultural change,
Right.
sometimes even undermining traditional beliefs.
Yeah.
So as resentment against colonial rule grew,
Yeah.
religious figures like Smith became symbols of that oppression.
Oh, I see. So in a way, Smith's fear reflects the broader anxieties of the time.
Exactly.
He's a microcosm of a society on the brink of rebellion.
That's a great way to put it.
And speaking of rebellion, let's move on to 1723. And this pamphlet, The Voice of Freedom. It's basically a manifesto for the Edian independence movement.
That's interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of this one?
This pamphlet, it's a masterclass in propaganda, if you ask me.
Really?
It skillfully weaves together emotional language, historical grievances, and a vision for a brighter future.
Interesting.
It's no accident that it became a touchstone for the resistance movement.
I was struck by the fiery rhetoric.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
One line that really jumped out at me. They have plundered our resources, oppressed our people, and sought to extinguish the very flame of our independence.
Whoa.
I mean, I can just imagine this being read aloud in secret gatherings, fueling the flames of rebellion.
It's a powerful image.
It is, isn't it?
For sure.
So how do you think it worked? How did they get their message across?
I think the authors cleverly tapped into existing resentments,
Good.
and they presented this very clear choice.
Huh?
Submit to foreign rule
Right.
or fight for freedom.
Yeah.
They also drew parallels with other liberation movements around the world. Oh, interesting.
Fostering a sense of solidarity and shared purpose.
So they weren't just speaking to Edians, they were connecting with a global movement.
Exactly.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that call to action didn't fall on deaf ears.
It seems not.
Just a few years later, in 1725, the Edians score a major victory against the Dutch.
Huge victory.
It seems like that pamphlet really helped to mobilize and inspire them, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think this victory was a turning point.
Okay.
It proved that the Edians could not only resist,
Yeah.
but also win on the battlefield.
Wow.
It emboldened the resistance fighters
Right.
and sent a clear message to the colonial powers.
Yeah.
Edea was not going down without a fight.
I bet that victory sent shockwaves through the colonial powers.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Speaking of which, our next source takes us right into the heart of their world.
Okay.
We have a handwritten transcript of a secret meeting
Oh,
between Governor Ritchie,
okay.
who represents the Edian independence movement at this point,
Right.
and a French minister. Wow.
This takes place in 1728.
Okay.
Talk about a high-stakes encounter.
Yeah, that's intense.
It is, right.
Yeah.
What did you think when you read this?
I was fascinated by this transcript.
Yeah.
It gives us this, fascinating glimpse into the world of 18th century diplomacy.
Okay.
It's not just about treaties and negotiations. It's about power dynamics,
Yeah.
hidden agendas, the art of persuasion.
It's like something out of a spy novel.
I know, right?
And what I found really interesting
Yeah.
is how Governor Ritchie uses this meeting to secure French territories within Edea.
Oh, okay.
He actually offers to buy them out.
What?
I know, right?
That's wild.
For a hefty sum of 5 million francs.
No way.
What a bold move.
Seriously.
I know.
That's incredible.
So what do you make of that?
I mean, it's a brilliant strategic maneuver.
Okay.
Ritchie understands that consolidating territory is essential for building a strong, unified nation.
Right.
And he's willing to use financial leverage to achieve that goal. It shows a remarkable level of foresight and pragmatism.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's like he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
I love that analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's thinking several moves ahead,
He is.
and it pays off.
It does.
Big time.
Big time.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes the path to freedom is paved with cold, hard cash.
It's true.
But it wasn't just about buying their way out.
Right.
The Edians also had a vision for what their nation should be.
Yes.
Which brings us to the Declaration of Independence of Edea,
Okay.
drafted in 1729
Right.
and put into effect the following year.
So what are we looking at here? What's so special about this document?
Well, I think what's so amazing is that this declaration, it wasn't just a list of grievances. It was a
Right.
blueprint for a new society.
Wow.
It's fascinating to see how they grapple with issues of representation,
Yeah.
unity, and individual liberty.
Those are big concepts.
They are, right. And, these are concepts that were being debated in other parts of the world at the time, too,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like in the American colonies.
Yeah, absolutely.
What struck me, though, is how they managed to unite such a diverse array of empires and kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got Era, Araban, Tridon, to name a few,
Wow.
under this shared vision of freedom.
Right.
I mean, these were distinct entities
Yeah.
with their own rulers, languages,
Right.
even rivalries, right?
It's true.
So how did they pull that off?
I think it's a testament to the unifying power of a shared goal.
Okay.
They recognized that their individual freedoms were intertwined,
Okay.
that they were stronger together than apart.
Yeah.
And the way they structured their new government is quite intriguing.
Okay, tell me about that.
They established a representative system with a cabinet made up of governors from each county,
Right.
alongside an elected prime minister and vice president.
It's like they were blending traditional power structures with these emerging democratic ideals.
Exactly. It's this fascinating mix of old and new.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they chose Belasco as their capital,
Okay.
a city nestled on the shores of Winton Lake.
Be beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was any strategic thinking behind that choice.
Location is everything.
Right.
I think Belasca's central location, situated on a major trade route, likely played a role.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It symbolized accessibility and unity, bringing together different regions under one banner.
It's almost like a fresh start, too, right?
It is. It's like
Yeah.
you're saying, we're not just breaking free, we're building something new.
It's like choosing a capital for the United States.
Right.
Washington, D.C.
Right.
was built specifically for that purpose,
Exactly.
away from the established power centers of the time.
Yeah. It makes a statement.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, declaring independence and actually achieving it are two different things.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember Queen Riga Abroki,
Yeah.
who took over after Queen Hetty?
Yes.
Well, she sent a blistering letter
Oh.
to the British North Atlantic Company in 1729,
Wow.
the same company that poor Reverend Smith worked for.
Oh.
I know, right?
Small world.
So if Queen Hetty's letter was a plea for understanding,
Okay.
Queen Riga's was the declaration of war.
Whoa.
She does not mince words.
Nope.
She demands the immediate withdrawal of all British forces
Wow.
and threatens them with the full might of our united armies.
She's not messing around.
No, she's not.
That's intense.
It's like she's channeling those fiery words from the Voice of Freedom pamphlet.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I can't imagine the British were too happy about that.
I bet they weren't.
What do you think? Was this a risky move on her part?
It was a high-stakes gamble, that's for sure.
Okay.
By taking such a forceful stance.
Right.
Queen Riga risked provoking a more brutal response from the British.
Yeah.
But it also sent a powerful message.
Okay.
The Edians were no longer willing to tolerate foreign rule, and they were prepared to fight to the end.
And the timing is interesting too, right?
Yeah.
This letter comes right after the Edians secure those French territories.
Okay.
So their position is stronger than ever.
Right.
I wonder if that emboldened Queen Riga.
It's certainly possible. That victory over the Dutch and the consolidation of their territory likely gave them the confidence to take a more aggressive stance.
Right.
They were no longer a scattered resistance movement. They were a nation in the making, and they were acting like it.
Talk about a power move.
It was a bold move.
And it seems to have worked.
It did.
The Prussians relinquished control in 1729,
Okay.
and then, the big one, the British finally give up their last remaining territories in 1730.
Wow, that's huge.
Edea is officially free.
Freedom at last.
Freedom at last.
It's easy to focus on the dramatic moments like Queen Riga's letter.
Right.
But I imagine that final push for freedom was probably more nuanced.
Okay.
There were probably backroom negotiations, internal pressures within the colonial powers.
Yeah.
Maybe even a growing recognition that holding on to Edea was simply no longer feasible.
So it wasn't just military might that won the day.
Right.
It was a combination of strategic maneuvering, political pressure, and maybe even a touch of luck.
It's often that way with history.
Isn't it?
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever the reasons, the outcome is clear. Edea won its independence.
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
And we get a glimpse of the euphoria that followed in this article from the Declan Daily News.
Oh, cool.
Published on October 16th, 1730.
All right.
Edea celebrates historic independence and unification.
What a headline.
I know, right?
That was it.
What did you think of this piece?
It practically bursts with pride.
It does.
It's not just a dry recounting of events, it's a celebration of resilience.
Right.
A testament to the power of a shared dream.
Mm-hmm.
They highlight the establishment of Belasco as their capital,
Right.
the unification of the various empires and kingdoms, and even delve into the intricacies of their new government, a cabinet, a prime minister, a vice president, all working together.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's fascinating how they put those lofty ideals from the Declaration into practice.
It's one thing to declare independence, it's another to actually build a functioning government.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they even kept the Costello royal family
Oh, interesting.
in a ceremonial role.
Okay.
It's like they were trying to bridge the past and the future.
Yeah, I see that.
A nod to tradition while embracing a new era.
Smart move.
And speaking of symbols, the first Edian flag.
Okay.
What a masterpiece of visual storytelling.
It's maroon with a golden circle containing a green four-pointed star set against bold vertical stripes of green, pink, purple, and maroon.
Every element seems so carefully chosen.
I know. It's beautiful.
And it beautifully captures the spirit of Edea, I think.
For sure.
A blend of heritage and innovation, unity and diversity, strength and resilience.
It's all there in the flag.
It's a powerful reminder of how far they'd come
Yeah.
and a symbol of hope for the future.
Absolutely.
But that future wouldn't be without its challenges, right?
Of course not. Winning independence was just the first step.
Right.
Now came the daunting task of building a nation from scratch.
Could they overcome their internal divisions? Could they create a society that lived up to the ideals enshrined in their declaration?
Now came the daunting task of building a nation from scratch.
Could they overcome their internal divisions? Could they create a society that lived up to the ideals enshrined in their declaration?
Right.
And that's what makes this story so compelling, right?
It is.
It's not just a triumphant march to freedom.
Right.
It's a complex, messy,
Yeah.
and ultimately human journey.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about all the sources that we've explored.
Yeah.
From Queen Hetty's heartfelt letter to Reverend Smith's fearful diary entries, from the fiery rhetoric of the Voice of Freedom pamphlet to Queen Riga's bold ultimatum.
So many different voices.
I know. And each one offers a unique perspective on this pivotal moment in history.
That's the beauty of history, isn't it?
It is.
It's never just one story.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean?
That's the big question.
We've journeyed from pre-colonial empires to a newly formed nation, witnessed acts of courage and moments of despair, and delved into the minds of queens, governors, and even a terrified reverend.
It's been quite a ride.
What are the big takeaways here? What can we learn from Ediea's struggle for independence?
Well, for one, it highlights the power of leadership.
Okay.
Think about Queen Hetty,
Yeah.
forced into hiding,
Right.
yet still able to inspire a nation,
Yeah.
or Governor Ritchie
Right.
skillfully negotiating with the French to secure vital territory.
Yeah, they were amazing.
These were individuals who not only reacted to events, but actively shaped them.
Right?
They understood that true leadership requires vision, courage, and a willingness to make tough choices.
It's amazing how much impact one person can have, even in the face of overwhelming odds.
For sure.
It makes you wonder, what kind of leader would I be in a similar situation?
That's a great question.
Would I have the strength to stand up for what I believe in, even when it seems like all hope is lost?
I think Ediea's story offers another important lesson.
Okay, what's that?
The power of unity.
Okay.
They managed to bring together diverse regions,
Yeah.
each with its own history and identity, under this shared banner of freedom.
Right.
They recognized that their individual freedoms were intertwined,
Yeah.
that they were stronger together than apart.
It's like that old saying, united we stand, divided we fall.
Exactly.
But it's easier said than done, right?
It is.
I mean, think about the political divisions in our own world today.
It's tough.
It's hard to imagine everyone putting aside their differences and coming together for a common cause.
It's a challenge, for sure.
Yeah.
But Ediea's story reminds us that it is possible.
Okay.
Even when the odds seem stacked against you.
Yeah.
They faced internal conflicts, regional rivalries, and powerful enemies.
Right.
Yet they found a way to bridge those divides, to focus on what united them rather than what separated them.
And they were strategic about it, too.
They were.
They knew when to fight, when to negotiate, and how to leverage their strengths.
Absolutely.
That victory against the Dutch was a turning point.
Oh,
It proved they could win,
Mm-hmm.
and it gave them the momentum to push for full independence.
It's a classic David and Goliath story, isn't it?
It is.
They used their agility and determination to outmaneuver their larger, more powerful opponents.
Yeah.
They understood that victory wouldn't come overnight.
Right.
It would require patience, persistence, and a willingness to adapt their strategies as needed.
It makes you realize that achieving something truly great often takes time.
It does.
And you have to be prepared for the long haul.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be setbacks.
Of course.
There will be doubts.
There always are.
But it's that unwavering belief in your goal that ultimately makes the difference.
I think that's a great takeaway.
And let's not forget the role of symbolism.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
The Edian flag, the choice of Belasco as their capital. These weren't just random decisions.
Right.
They were carefully crafted to embody the spirit of the new nation.
Absolutely.
To inspire a sense of unity and pride.
It's like they were creating a new identity.
Right.
Yeah, shared narrative for their people.
It's like how the American flag became a symbol of hope and freedom, or how the Statue of Liberty represents welcome and opportunity.
Exactly. Symbols have a powerful way of shaping our understanding of the world.
They tap into our emotions, our sense of belonging, our aspirations for the future.
And in a way, that's what Ediea's story is all about.
What do you mean?
It's a testament to the power of hope.
Okay.
The enduring belief in a better tomorrow.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we've all learned a lot today.
I know I have.
It's been an incredible journey through history.
It has.
And it's left me feeling inspired, challenged, and maybe even a little bit hopeful.
That's the power of history.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Edian independence.